Hi guys. I always cringe because I'm like lately I'm singing some random stuff right before the news and then like when I go live I'm still like finishing whatever it is that I was singing and I find it so cringy because I feel like half of my newscasts start with like la, 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 la. Hello. So, how are you guys doing? How is your day? How is your, what is it today? Wednesday, pre Thanksgiving Wednesday. Oh my gosh, happy holidays. Thanksgiving is tomorrow. I'm sure we're all excited for Black Friday. Hi, Prexis. Hi. Oh, hi, Jans. Hi, Vasilka. Hi, Juju. Hi, Joe. Hi, Netlin. Hi, Sherry. Hello, guys. Sin, what's going on? What's going on? No, no, no. Hi Frank. Hi Lauren. Hi Royal Legacy. Do you have RSS for those joining Foreign Legion? What is RSS? Hi Gap. Hi hi Karen. Hi Carolyn. Hi Theo. Hi Kayla. Hi Noemi. So Noemi off the bat says resources. What do you mean? Like, as in, will you get ammo? Will you get weapons and stuff like that? So you will get weapons if you join the Foreign Legion, but they do highly encourage you to bring your own. Oh, contacts. Okay. Yes, I can. I can put you in touch. You have family in Russia. Well, foreign in Crimea. Well, Crimea is not Russia. Crimea is Ukraine. But if you wanted to join the Foreign Legion, then yes, you can. And yes, you can message me on Instagram and I can put you in touch with the appropriate people. Hi, Smiley. Also, Noemi says on YouTube, not sure declaring Russia as a terrorist state will change anything, unfortunately. Yes, you are correct. It is, well, yes and no. So NATO declaring Russia as a terrorist state has actually more consequences than EuroParliament declaring Russia as a terrorist state. When NATO declared Russia as a terrorist state, that meant that NATO is now uh, is now um, is now more likely to send Ukraine more weapons and respond to our requests for specific weapons because NATO now sees Russia as like an official threat, right? Not just to Ukraine, but to the world because it's a terrorist state. So there is a lot more benefits from NATO having declared Russia as a terrorist state. Now, as to the Europe Parliament, yes, it is a mostly symbolic decision, unfortunately, and it does not change that much unless all of the individual members of the EU and Europe in general declare Russia as a terrorist state in their respective parliaments. So let's say if Belgium declares Russia as a terrorist state, then that actually prevents Russia from buying certain things from Belgium. Thank you so much, Frank, that they could buy before. And economically, that would be a much harder blow to Russia than we are delivering right now because there is just a lot more implications. So I posted a video on TikTok today, and I'm asking people to advocate to I'm asking people to advocate to recognize Russia as a terrorist state in their respective countries. Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, and Poland have already declared Russia as a terrorist state. Hi, Graham. Good to see you. Have already declared Russia as a terrorist state in their respective parliaments, and I'm asking all Europeans to ask their leaders to declare Russia as a terrorist state as well in their respective parliaments, because that does have very high implications, economically at least, on the processes that sanctions are not covering. Hi, Kay. So yes, so basically, unfortunately, the decision itself through EuroParliament basically just like proves a point and makes a stance against Russia's aggression, but doesn't necessarily result in a lot of action. Again, unless Russia is declared as a terrorist state in individual countries, then it does have lots of implications. So you guys have the power to ask your leaders to do that because your leaders respond to you. Then Crazy Cat here says, Putin and his gangster regime have nukes that need to be taken care of. Thank you, Mariana. Sooner or later, Russia will need to be dealt with for world security. Well, yes, Russia will need to be dealt with for world security, but also, like, again, nukes. Nukes is uh, like, people like to use nukes as sort of an excuse to not do anything. People like to use nukes as a sort of like a fear mongering tactic. People like to use that. Because they're like, oh, if we do this, Russia will use nukes. But to be honest, chances of Russia using nukes, knowing the consequences and repercussions of that, are about as slim as like Putin resigning tomorrow. Also, again, in a lot of places, people tend to view the way nukes are launched based on the way it works in the US. Because in the US, the president presses the red button and that's it. That's enough to launch a nuke. In Russia, it's not so. There are 9 other chain of command people who have to agree on every level to use that nuke. And, even if Putin is crazy, everybody else still values their life, right? If we see one thing is that Russians value their life and they don't want to die at the front in the war with Ukraine. They want Ukraine to be part of Russia. They want to humiliate us. They want to destroy us. They want to do all of these things. And that's, by the way, YouTube, an unbiased opinion because it's taken from all Russian state media. So they want to do that as per their own, as per what they themselves say, but they really don't want to die. So, one man is not responsible for launching the nukes, and one man's decision is not going to be the decision. Thankfully, one process in Russia that's actually worth something. So there is that. Hello, Gargoyle. Hello, Gargoyle. You are not a very good gargoyle today. You've done so many things that are wrong today. Cindy is being a bit of an asshole today, but that's okay. So what was I gonna say? I was gonna ask how your day is going, how your preparation for the holidays going, and if you're in the United States, are you celebrating? What are you guys doing? What are your plans? Are you going to see your family? Oh, thank you so much, Justin. Happy Thanksgiving, Slava Ukraine. Heroям Slava. So what are your guys' plans for Thanksgiving? Are you guys seeing family? Are you guys cooking? Are you happy that you're not cooking because somebody else is cooking? Like, I bought liquor to deal with the MAGA BS. Oh my God, that's so funny. Having dinner with family tomorrow. That's nice. Is Cindy still mad from last night? Oh my gosh, no, Cindy's not mad from last night, but it's really cold outside and Cindy doesn't like the cold. So she's been kind of acting out against the cold. Yeah, Thanksgiving in Canada was last month, which is something I found out recently. First of all, I didn't know Canada celebrated Thanksgiving, so this is very American of me. Hello. What's up? Yes. Uh-huh. Yes. What's up? What? What are you trying to say? Why are you calling me? What's up? What's up? Come here. Oh, she's learned that usually when I sit down here, I give her some yummies. But yeah, I've learned recently that Canada celebrates Thanksgiving and that it's having dinner with family, and that it's also a month earlier than here. So that was new for me. That was very American of me too to not know this, but oh well. That's cool. I see most of you have plans. That's awesome. And most of you are going to spend it with family, which is also nice. One American, me, and 5 Ukrainians having dinner tomorrow. Tatiana, Artur, Artem, Anna, and Nika. Oh, that's cool. I will be in school. Clearly, Cindy wants. Oh, I'm not gonna say that word. I'll give it to her, but I'll give it to her a little later. Привет, Ontario. Yeah, that's nice. I'm baking a cake tonight too. So Kat said that she's grocery shopping for Thanksgiving tonight. I am not necessarily super grocery shopping for Thanksgiving because I don't really cook on Thanksgiving. Um, I go to a family thing and there is a lot of food, but but I do usually either bake or buy a cake or like a pie. So I'm gonna make a raspberry custard kuchen for tomorrow, which is an Austrian kind of pie, and it's really really good. It's like crusty on the outside, and then it's super soft on the inside. It's really good with ice cream and stuff like that. Maybe maybe if I am able to, while I make it tonight, I will record it and I will post it so you guys can try it for yourself too. So yeah, so Kayla says my mother-in-law is cooking, but I'm making strawberry pretzel salad. Strawberry pretzel salad. That sounds very interesting. Чи можна написати тобі в приват? Так, я відповідаю на всі питання на Інстаграмі. Інстаграм, точніше, я намагаюся відповідати на всі меседжі на Інстаграмі. Інстаграм він такий самий, як це. Можливо, сьогодні мені займе більше часу, ніж зазвичай відповісти, і я не зможу додатися до DMs завтра, тому що в нас в Америці зараз свята. І в нас в Америці зараз свята, і якби я сьогодні буду дуже зайнята. My Thanksgiving going to be awkward. My brother, girl, prego, and it mine. Wait, I'm confused. Oh, it isn't. Oh. Okay, I really hope you're joking because that is horrible. I wish I didn't have to cook, that I can just come over. Yeah, me too. Like, what? Okay, but also this person's handle is like butt plugger or something. So we know that this is probably, that this is most likely a joke. Anyways. Okay. All right, guys. On that note, while someone is writing some very strange comments in the chat, on TikTok. So you know what? Actually, I'm gonna read this to you so you on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter can also join in on the whatever it is that it's happening. This person said, "My Thanksgiving is going to be awkward. My brother's girlfriend is pregnant, and it's mine." But given that their handle is butt plugger, I don't believe that this is necessarily very true. I think it's just it's just them having fun with us here, obviously not with the potential family situation. But anyways, I hope that. But I hope that it's I hope it's not true because poor brother. Someone's asking, have you graduated English philology? No, I have not. I'm also, based on the fact that you say philology, I would say you mean angliska filologia and you're Ukrainian, right? I didn't. Well, first of all, like it would be English lit here, but also I didn't. I speak English since I was a kid, but I speak English. Oh my gosh, I need to have like a disclaimer behind me that like one of those like running things, like, in Times Square, they have like NASDAQ running thing. So I think I need to have that basically says, "Hi, my name is Yulia. I was born and raised in Ukraine. I moved to the United States at the age of 16 without my parents for education. My parents to this day live in Lviv, Ukraine, and my grandparents and basically every single person in my family. I'm the only one who lives in the United States. I learned English in Lviv when I was 4, 5, or 6 years old. I don't remember, but I learned it from a native speaker. Therefore, I sound mostly ambiguously American. But no, I did not. I did not. No. I know. I'm not mad at you. I'm just like, I just have to say this every day. So I feel like there should just be like like one of those like little screens that just says that. Boa noite, Angelo. But yeah, no, I didn't graduate English as a major. I just, I just speak English since I was a kid, and it's like one of my first languages. But with that said, hi, my name is Yulia. I'm born and raised in Ukraine. On this channel, every day we do news for the past 24 hours, as well as chat and give context to everything from historical, geopolitical, and current events standpoint. And we do this nudecast. No, it's not a nudecast. We do this fully clothed newscast every day at various times right now because it's been kind of hectic around here. And it's usually from an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we cover absolutely everything. And this newscast is being broadcast simultaneously on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. All of these platforms provide you with a very different insight into all things Ukraine. On YouTube, I have interviews with Ukrainian defenders. On TikTok, I have short videos explaining absolutely everything that has ever happened in Ukraine. Really, if you have a question and you scroll far enough, you will most likely find the answer. And on Twitter, unhinged commentary about everything that happens. For now, it depends on how long Twitter survives. But my handle is the same. Everywhere. It's YEWLEEA. So basically, if you're on YouTube and you see my handle on YouTube, it's the same one across all social media. And also, I do voiceovers and some language consulting for United 24, and I'm basically the voice for Ukraine Briefly, which is a segment that Zelensky posts on his social media, mostly weekly, I want to say. I think it's weekly, but often, basically often. I recorded one today, but I need to do some little adjustments to it because my project manager was like, "Elle, I do really like I do," and I'm not mad at him. I don't know why I'm making his voice sound that way, but he was like, "Oh, the intonation is good, but on this particular part and on that particular part, could you like change, I don't know, could you change the speed by 1.5 seconds?" And I'm like, I'm already talking so fast. So anyways, I will have to, approach that bridge after the news. But yes, so that is me, and that is what we do on this channel. Welcome. If you are new here, welcome to the Spy Lair, because we also decided to call this Spy News Network International. But yeah, so that is me, and I'm glad to see you here, and I hope you stick around to hear some news about Ukraine. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, and we are going to start on the news for the past 24 hours. So European Parliament, following NATO Parliamentary Assembly, recognized Russia as a terrorist state today. And Russia said in response that it's such an idiotic rhetoric that they want to recognize a European Parliament as a state of idiocy. And to prove to the whole world how much of a non-terrorist state they are, they decided to unleash a terrorist attack onto Ukrainian civil infrastructure and leave Kyiv completely without water. Lviv didn't have electricity and water for a while today too, but by 7 p.m., 70% of the city was already restored in terms of electricity and water. So thankfully, my parents now have both. However, in Kyiv, the situation is much more dire because their infrastructure and the strikes in their infrastructure are much harder and much more extensive than they are than they are on Lviv. And yes, there was a hit on Lviv. My mom said in the state, not so around the city, not necessarily in the city, and they were able to quickly restore the consequences of that. The thing is that normally when Russia launches strikes, which was 70 plus cruise missiles today, they launch most of it onto Kyiv because Kyiv is the capital, and they just want to really, really exhaust Kyiv, right? And they launch less onto other places. But it's very interesting how, they were recognized as a terrorist state. They said that this is a farce, and of course, they're not a terrorist state, and proceeded with a terrorist act. As my mom says, you can't understand Russia if you're attempting to use your brain to do so. We should hit Moscow. Well, I don't necessarily agree with it because, I think that we're much better than that. I think if we were to hit Moscow, we would be just like them. And although Russian civilians are probably equally as guilty as Russian military, provided that they support all of this stuff, and if they don't support it, they don't do anything. And there is this Russian blogger who's like propaganda in a nutshell. She has all of these really, really, really damaging beliefs, but somehow made a reputation of this pro-Ukrainian person for herself, even though she says a lot of anti-Ukrainian stuff, outwardly anti-Ukrainian. And a lot of Westerners follow her, and she has been raising money to buy heaters for Mariupol. And she's like, anybody with a heart would agree that. Sini, how can I help you? So she says anybody with a heart would agree that Mariupol needs heaters and we need to provide this. Oh my gosh, poor people that are struggling. It's I want to help people in Mariupol. You can help people in Mariupol by telling your government to get the F out of there. Because realistically, your inaction led to the fact that they're living the way they're living, and your government is to blame for the fact that they have no heat, no houses, no roofs over their heads and stuff like that. It's not your prerogative to go buy heaters for Mariupol and pretend like you're such a good person. Your prerogative is to, if you want to help them, return them back to Ukraine. Get your military out of there. Basically, every time Russian people are like, oh my God, we are fundraising for heaters. It's you're not a good person. The only way you can help is if you revolt against your government. This is not it. This is a band-aid on the problem. This doesn't make you a good person. This is the least you can do. What you can really do to help people in occupied territories is deoccupy them. Hi, Sin. Hi, Boosh. Hi, Boosh. What's going on? What's going on? Who needs attention? Who needs too much attention? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I have. So Ali says I have a hard time trusting where their fundraising is going to. Exactly, me too. I don't necessarily believe that this is going to go to the right cause either. Because why now? Why do they care suddenly now? They didn't this whole time. They didn't care about Kherson. They didn't care about other places. Anyways, so what's going on here? Here. Dog. What is it that you're doing? Sin, no. Hey. Stop causing trouble. Sinny, come back. Sinny, come back. Sinny, come back. So we're going to cover some of the news for the past 48 hours too, because, yesterday I wasn't able to really do the newscast because Yulia joined me and we were mostly talking about propaganda and damaging Russian narratives and sort of experiences growing up with all of these Russian TV shows and stuff like that. You done? You done? Okay. So in Kyiv Metro yesterday, the TV show Голос країни, which is basically like the X Factor or like The Voice or American Idol, they created the studio for the show in the Kyiv subway, so they could still film it and still like bring some entertainment for the people during the airstrikes. And so this is what it looks like. These are the judges' seats. And this is the stage. Okay, so let's see. I want to make sure that I'm just, showing you stuff that's applicable, because some of the things I'm not going to go over because they're not necessarily super important, and I don't want to make this incredibly long for no reason. Canada to impose sanctions against Belarusian firms and officials over Russia's war in Ukraine. The sanctions will be imposed on another 22 Belarusian officials and 16 Belarusian companies engaged in military production, technology, and railway transportation. Speaking of, so my dad has a really close friend, Kolya. He's from Belarus, and he's an amazing person. They have moved to Cyprus a very long time ago, and they do still have some businesses in Belarus, but most of their businesses have been like transported to Cyprus. And he's a very wealthy guy. He's like done very well for himself. He's a very smart person. And so a couple of days ago, he called my dad and he was like, listen, he's in real estate. He said, I want to offer you something. He's like, I don't know if you can leave the country, but if things get too bad or if you feel like you can and you need to go somewhere, he's like, I really would like for you to move here to Cyprus. I will give you an apartment, and I will help you like arrange your life here, but I just really want to make sure that you're safe. And obviously my dad can't leave the country, and my dad wouldn't, because he wants to stand for his country till the last moment. But it was very nice and very, very sweet to know that he cares so much. He has been giving us a lot of like inside information into what's happening in Belarus, and he's like a very, very, he's an incredible person. Also, someone says, Joan Harris says, you look like Julianne Moore. Okay, so I know it's a compliment. I know you meant it as a compliment. I despise Julianne Moore. I really don't like her. She's a great actress. Like it's a me thing. It's not a she thing. Like she's a great actress. She's an amazing actress. But she annoys me to the brim of no tomorrow. It's just her facial expressions, like her demeanor. Like there is nothing wrong with her, it's absolutely not her fault. It's a me thing. I just completely despise her. I really don't like anything about her. I don't watch movies that she's in because I just can't look at her. I don't know what it is, like her entire, like it's just her. Everything about her annoys me. And it's so irrational because she didn't do anything wrong. And as far as I know, she's a pretty decent person. She's a very good actress. I just hate her. So I'm so sorry, but I cringed so hard at that because that's like the last person that I want to be compared to. But thank you. I know it was meant as a compliment. Okay. Someone said that I look like Julianne Moore. For complete deoccupation of Mykolaiv region, it remains to liberate 3 settlements located on the Kinburn Spit. Head of the Regional Military Administration, Vitaly Kim. Okay. Russian occupiers struck at a high-rise building in Toretsk and one of the neighborhoods of Chasovy Yar in Donetsk region. At least 2 people were wounded during the strikes. Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, which are in favor of tougher and faster EU sanctions against Russia, are pushing other capitals in the European Commission to agree on an upper limit on oil prices and the 9th package of EU sanctions at the same time. Also, okay, For those of you who don't know what Julianne Moore looks like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what she looks like. Okay, first of like, okay. I mean, she's much older than I am, but also I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. And also, she usually like here. She usually plays sort of like okay here. I'm trying. She usually plays roles that are kind of like, I guess, like creepy characters or like very, very lovely ladies. Something like that. But here, I don't know. I don't see it. She to me just looks incredibly creepy and I really, really, really don't like her. Yeah, I don't know. Like, nothing against her. This is completely irrational. Not telling you to hate on her. I'm sure she's fantastic. I just really don't like her personally. The European Parliament wants to recognize PMC Wagner as a terrorist organization. Parliamentarians believe that PMC Wagner should be included in the list of terrorist organizations due to the violation of human rights by mercenaries in Ukraine and actions in other countries. The letter was supported by deputies of the entire spectrum of groups and factions of the European Parliament, from the far right to the left, reports Politico. As of November 22nd, 2 local residents were unalived and 7 wounded in Kherson due to Russian shelling, Kherson Regional Military Administration. So here is another kind of like hypocritical, here's another part of hypocrisy on Russia's behalf, right? So they're saying that they were liberating Kherson and they care about Kherson residents so much. And, you know, they just want Kherson to be Russia because Kherson belongs to Russia and Khersonians are Russian and all of that, even though you could clearly see the reaction of people when Ukrainian army came back to liberate them. But now that they have been pushed out of Kherson and now that they have had to retreat, thank you, Netlin. Thank you for the hot air balloons. Now that they had to retreat and stuff like that, they're now shelling Kherson and quite literally unaliving those people that they were saying are Russians and were liberated and so wanted them to be there. So what is, you know, that's the hypocrisy in here. This is quite literally just the essence of Russia. Kherson railway station, one of the places where people can charge their phones and warm up, as there is still no heating and electricity supply in the city. So here's what that looks like. And I think this encompasses the Ukrainian spirit these days so incredibly well, because this is what Ukrainian spirit is like. You know, we are going to persevere. We're going to find ways to warm up. We are going to find ways to to charge our phones. We're going to find ways to persevere. And we're going to wait for our victory, and we're going to also contribute to it. The U.S. is providing an additional $4.5 billion in direct budget support to Ukraine, head of the U.S. Department of Treasury says. A group of U.S. senators called on the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden to provide Ukraine with modern long-range attack drones MQ-1C Gray Eagle. Earlier, the U.S. didn't want to do that because they were scared that if Russia intercepts them, they are going to steal some technologies that are crucial to sort of. Well, sorry, I'm kind of like eating my words here, but basically the U.S. didn't want to give Ukraine these drones because the technology in them is so modern and so like far-fetched and so forward-thinking that the U.S. was scared that if Russia acquires these drones, it's going to be really bad for like the security of, you know, of behind this technology. But so a group of US senators called on administration of the President Joe Biden to provide Ukraine with modern long-range attack drones MQ-1C Gray Eagle. According to the lawmakers, Iranian-made drones have given the Russians an advantage on the battlefield, so Ukrainians should get an arsenal from the US to counter this. Earlier, the Wall Street Journal wrote that the Pentagon rejected Ukraine's request for the transfer of Grey Eagle due to the likelihood of escalation of the conflict and the risk of losing these drones on the battlefield. But at this point, it's like, those kamikaze drones are giving Russia quite a little bit of advantage in air. And Ukraine needs these drones. It's not like we just want them because they're better. At this point, we actually do very much need these drones. And also, here's the thing: Ukraine lost very little weapons to Russia on the battlefield in general. Ukraine has been handling US loaned weapons better than anyone else in any other conflict. So I would say it's quite strange that, this rhetoric would still be prevailing, because the likelihood of Ukraine mishandling these weapons is very low. A rally against Putin, his regime, and the CSTO is taking place in Yerevan, Armenia. Demonstration against the arrival of Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov. Tomorrow, there is to be a meeting of the Collective Security Council of the CSTO. So I want to address something. There is a person here who is Greek, I believe, because of the flag. And I see that you write the same thing every time. And I feel incredibly sad for the fact that your girlfriend is in Poltava, but I also don't know what I can say to it. As in, like, I've seen all of your messages, but I just don't I don't know what I can say. I mean, it's everyone in Ukraine is not safe, and I'm sorry that you have to go through it, and I'm sorry your girlfriend does too. Okay. So Armenia is really not wanting to be in the CSTO anymore, and there are giant, massive protests. This is what they look like. Hi, Graham. Or Graham. So Graham, yeah. Hi, Graham. Or see, it could be Graham. Oh, Nasta! Oh my gosh, sorry. Nasta! Oh, my aunt is here. My aunt is here. Well, not like here, but she's watching me, and I just noticed her comment. Hi. Anastasia is my aunt, and she is in Cardiff. She is teaching motion picture animation right now in Cardiff, in Wales, and she's fantastic. And I really miss her, and she is really amazing. And if she doesn't come for Christmas this year, I will be very upset, but understanding, because I will be missing her a lot. But, okay. Ukraine demands an apology for Hungarian Prime Minister Orban's scarf with Ukrainian territories depicted within Hungary. The ambassador was told about the unacceptability of such actions, which can be regarded as disrespect for the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Which can be regarded as disrespect. Can be regarded. I mean, it is blatant disrespect for the territorial integrity of Ukraine if someone wears a scarf with Ukrainian territories marked as territories of another country. It's not that it might be regarded. It is exactly that. It is blatant disrespect. Ministry of Internal Affairs. During the retreat from Kherson region, the occupiers took with them several heads of communities who refused to cooperate with them. The police do not know where they are right now. So basically, when Russians were retreating from Kherson, they also kidnapped several higher officials within the Kherson city administration, because those officials refused to work with Russians. So basically, from what it looks like, they're taking them to torture chambers, and they've kidnapped them to keep them on board. Former Education Minister Dmytro Tabachnik is suspected of high treason. Prosecutor General's Office. Tabachnik organized and coordinated the activities of the heads of Russian occupation administrations of Kherson and Zaporizhia. He helped them prepare for the referendums. Well, that's actually very interesting, and it's unfortunate to hear because, we have all been wondering how Kherson was so easily taken over because the people in Kherson didn't want to be a part of Russia, right? Um, the Ukrainian military tried to get there to counter the attack, right? But couldn't do it fast enough. But Kherson basically was just like given up to Russians, and we were wondering who did that and how did they do it. So it's very good that we are finding these treasoners and these people who have been aiding Russians in their invasion, because we will know who the responsibility lies on. People from 93 countries help to build a fleet of marine drones, says President Zelensky. In general, people from 93 countries have joined the initiative through the United 24 platform. We are gradually building the Ukrainian fleet of marine drones. This is our fleet today. Little fleet of marine drones. Thank you, Loyalty. The main things for yesterday, and let me remind you, because we weren't able to do the news because instead Yulia joined me. Actually, Nastya is going to laugh at this a little bit, but I have a friend. Her name is Yulia Tymoshenko, and I don't mean Yulia from Butte. I mean, she's Yulia Tymoshenko, and she's an activist. She's a very, very great activist, and her and my opinions are very in line. And I guess like both of us are pretty radical in terms of in terms of certain ideas. And she advocates for very important things and points out very subtle propaganda and very subtle but major thank you so much, Bobby. Very subtle but major problems with certain speeches of politicians and actions and stuff like that. And so yesterday she was watching my live and I was like, come speak to me. And so we were kind of talking about propaganda and about how it was like growing up with all of these TV shows that were glorifying Russia. And we were talking about Netflix and how Netflix idealizes Russia and sort of does these things in a lot of their TV shows and stuff like that. So I wasn't able to do the news. But so main thing for yesterday was the SBU is conducting investigative actions in the Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra. So here's the thing. One of the most beautiful churches in Ukraine is Kyivo-Pecherska Lavra, and it's in Kyiv. It's like that big church that you guys always see on the photos of Kyiv. Thank you so much, Loyalty. And Kyivo-Pecherska Lavra somehow is under Moscow Patriarchy. And so the Kyivo-Pecherska Lavra priests are all the priests of the Russian world. And apparently those priests have been leaking information to Russia and have been working as Russian foreign agents in Ukraine to give Russia information, to sort of to recruit people into the ranks of the Russian world and stuff like that. And so there is a huge investigation in the Kyivo-Pecherska Lavra right now. Erdogan said that Turkey will soon launch a ground operation in Syria against Kurdish militants. The U.S. is providing an additional $4.5 billion in direct budget support to Ukraine. It was loud in Sevastopol and Yevpatoria yesterday. Air defense was working hard. In Armenia, protests against Putin and the CSTO took place. Protesters gathered in Yerevan and were calling for the country's withdrawal from the CSTO, as well as against the visit of Putin, Lukashenko, and other dictators. CSTO is the treaty of is like the Russian-led version of NATO, but obviously it's an incredible failure because two of the countries of CSTO were at war with each other and had an armed conflict and stuff like that. And basically, it's supposed to be like a protection organization. Is a defense organization, and they're all their militaries are supposed to unite in responses to conflicts. But Russia has been not fulfilling its duties to Armenia, and Armenia has been kind of pulling away from Russia for a while now. And now Armenian people really don't want to have anything to do with it, so they are showing it vocally in the form of protests. Oi. So Russian propagandists on Russian TV are saying some quite nonsensical stuff, but it also only shows, so I'm going to play you this clip, obviously, as per usual. I'm going to play it to you here full screen, but it's Russian propagandists suggesting an invasion of Kazakhstan, basically. And they're saying that Kazakhstan has a tendency to develop the same unity as Ukraine and like that. And while it's a farce, and while mostly they're just saying it to deflect, and like that, they're not actually going to do it because clearly they don't have the strength to, for one. But one of the reasons why I want to bring attention to it is because, there are people that just don't like Ukraine. And just because they don't like Ukraine, they want to sort of justify Russian actions, right? And it's like, it doesn't matter how much you don't like Ukraine. It doesn't matter how much you want to scream that we're Nazis. It doesn't matter how much you want to use your dislike of Ukraine to justify Russia. There is no justification. Russia is an aggressor, and Russia is an aggressor that on their national TV suggests that they should invade another country on falsified premises. You've never heard of Nazi issues taking place in Kazakhstan, right? Well, that's because they're not there. But Russia wants to make it look like they are to find an excuse to invade them.
Давайте все-таки обратим внимание на то, что следующая проблема – это Казахстан. Потому что там тоже могут начаться те же самые, извините, нацистские процессы сейчас на Украине.
Границы у нас там...
И русских там много. И территории там, извините. И Семипалатинск там. И, между прочим, и ядерное топливо для всего нашего Росатома тоже там.
Конечно. Мы ее признали.
Вот в чем дело.
Yeah, see, so, suddenly Kazakhstan also has Nazi issues now. Just because, Russia, so here's the thing. The reason why Russians are saying that is because a lot of Russians have fled to Kazakhstan for mobilization. And Kazakhs have been having one of the most adverse reactions to those Russians. Like, if Russians visit Kazakh karaoke places, Kazakh people just start singing Ukrainian songs in karaoke. Russians very often have these ads, when people are looking for apartments that say, oh, we're only going to rent these apartments to like white Russian people, right? So Kazakhs have prepared a response to Russians coming into their country saying they're only going to rent apartments to Asians. Basically they're treating Russians the same way as Russians have treated minorities. And so Russia is really not happy with that because they're really showing them whose side they're on and what they stand for. And so obviously they have to prepare some sort of a response because, Kazakh people can't just react to the fact that Russians are colonizers. They have to be Nazis if they don't like Russians, for absolutely valid reasons. Also, Nastya here, my aunt Nastya, says that my aunt Nastya says that Yulia Tymoshenko that I know can erase the bad connotations with the name. Yeah, I hope so. Honestly, she posts a lot of very good information on her Instagram. She's like a really good activist, so I suggest you look her up. Her thing is Yulia Tymosha, so because obviously she didn't want to take the handle or can't take the handle Yulia Tymoshenko, but she very often posts jokes being like, can you just leave Instagram and social media so I can just reclaim the handle with my name? But she's Yulia Tymosha. Okay, so this is a survey of ordinary Russians on the streets of an ordinary Russian city. They're so full of hate. Putin is not the cause of such behavior, but on the contrary, the beliefs and the hatred of these people is what Putin uses to wage a war against Ukraine. And I'm going to play this for you because it is indeed very important. It is Russian people, ordinary Russian people on the streets of an ordinary Russian city talking about Ukraine and their beliefs. And I often play videos like this, but I believe that it's so important to keep finding people who say that Russians are not to blame for this. Russians are innocent. They're just like people who are caught up in the war of their politicians. No, they're not. And the majority of Russians, in fact, are pro this war. So here you go. I'm going to present this right now.
Блядь. Ну как, я не знаю, это хохлов надо давить и убивать и резать их, блядь. Что с ними они, блядь, делают, я не знаю. А как еще разговаривать?
Ну нельзя теперь записывать.
Я ненавижу этих мразей, это, блядь, фашисты.
А что мы должны делать с пленными украинцами, по вашему мнению?
Убивать их нахер не нужны, это мрази, и все.
Понятно.
Ну правда, они же не люди, это не люди.
So yeah, so this is an opinion of some ordinary Russian people in an ordinary town, city or town in Russia. As you can see, it's not like some middle of nowhere because, you know, there is infrastructure, there is roads, there is public transportation. If it was like a middle of nowhere, small town Russia or a village, none of these things would be present. So this is a big city. Most likely this is Moscow or St. Petersburg or something like that. And these are ordinary Russians, and this is what ordinary Russians think. They very often have these beliefs, and here's the thing. People say, oh, they're brainwashed. Oh, you know, the government is manipulating them. But you know, propaganda doesn't work unless you already have preconceived notions that propaganda targets. That's how propaganda works. Propaganda doesn't work on you. It doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on most Ukrainians, right? Because Ukrainians don't have these preconceived notions. It works on people who already have those preconceived notions, and it targets them and heightens those feelings. So the feelings of hate and the feelings of despise and the feelings of superiority, they were already there. They have just been heightened by propaganda. Kherson, a local resident shows a shelter where they spent time during the bombing and hid from the Russian occupiers. Here is what that looks like. And also, mind you, the woman, she wasn't saying, oh, don't say this, this is bad. She was saying, don't say it because you're being recorded. That's all you need to know. Winter in Ukraine will be difficult. Russia has enough missiles for 3 to 4 more massive missile strikes, which were on November 15th when the occupiers launched 100 missiles, NSDC Secretary Danilov says. But this does not mean that we should surrender or capitulate. They will not wait for this, he said. Zelensky announced the deployment of 4,000 invincibility points in Ukraine in case of significant problems with electricity due to missile strikes. In such points, despite the power outage, the availability of heat, water, lighting, internet, power for mobile phones, places for rest, first aid kits, provisions for mothers and children will be provided. The map of the points will be available on nezlamnist.gov.ua, which means invincibility.gov.ua. Digest of the main news of the night. At night, Russian invaders hit the maternity ward of the Vilnyansk hospital in Zaporizhia region with missiles. A baby was unalived as a result of the shelling. Analysts of the Institute for the Study of War suggest that the Kremlin is creating information preconditions for a false flag attack in the Belgorod region of Russia. A PMC Wagner fighter convicted of double murder received the Order of Courage. CIA Deputy Director Marlowe says that the agency is open to cooperation and is looking around the world for Russians dissatisfied with the war in Ukraine, says the Wall Street Journal. And the Wall Street Journal. And I think that that is honestly one of the most ignorant decisions that someone can make, because you cannot trust any of these people. They could be trained agents, and also most of the people who say that they're not happy with the war in Ukraine are not happy with the war because they understand right from wrong. They're not happy with the war because they're not happy that people don't like Russians these days. Seriously, like, I mean this. I understand that people will give me examples of World War II and cooperation with Germans and like German traitors and stuff like that. This is very different. Germans were brainwashed for a couple of generations. Russians have been of these beliefs for more than 3 centuries. It's incredibly different. The people are not against the war because they despise the war, are not against the war because Ukrainians are dying. They're not against the war because Russia is a terrorist state. They're against the war because this war made them outcasts. These are not the people that you will get quality cooperation from, and these people most likely will sell you out in the end as double agents. I would not do that. That is such a grave mistake. SBU finds pro-Russian literature millions in cash and questionable Russian citizens during security measures in premises of Ukrainian Orthodox Church, Moscow Patriarchy. The Security Service of Ukraine has completed counterintelligence measures on the territories of the Holy Dormition Kyivo-Pecherska Lavra in Kyiv, the Korets Holy Trinity Monastery, and in the premises of Sarny Polesian Diocese of the UOC in the Rivne region. In the course of security measures, it was found pro-Russian literature used in seminary and parish schools, including for the propaganda of the Russian world, cash totaling more than 2 million hryvnias, more than $100,000, and several thousand Russian rubles. Here's what that looks like. And this is why Ukrainians say that we want to ban Russian Orthodox, like the Moscow Patriarchy of the Christian Orthodox Church. Because these people are priests who are preaching genocide of Ukrainians in Ukraine to Ukrainian people. Russian troops shelled the town of Kupiansk, Kharkiv region. A residential building and a clinic were hit. A school was also destroyed. As a result, 2 passerbys were killed. Here's the thing, we say that we want to eliminate everything Russian from Ukraine, and then people get enraged, right? And they're like, oh, Ukrainians, they just hate Russia. They've always hated Russia, and now is the opportunity. It's like, okay, well, I mean, it's not uncanny that we would want to get rid of everything Russian while Russia is committing a genocide on us. It has nothing to do with hate. It has to do with protection. But also, this is an example of why. Russian Orthodox Church is preaching the genocide of Ukrainians and the Russian world in Ukraine, in Kyivo-Pecherska Lavra, which is one of the most beautiful, one of the most important churches in the capital of our country. They're preaching Russian literature, pro-Russian books. They have money paid to them in the amounts of millions, clearly by Russia, to preach this. They are Kremlin agents. So obviously we want to ban everything related to Russia, because then it turns out that all of these organizations, all of these things are treasoners who preach the genocide of our country. And this is a church, you guys. UK sends 3 helicopters to Ukraine, Defense Secretary Ben Wallace reports. British intelligence believes that Russia has almost exhausted the stocks of Iranian UAVs that they had. After massive attacks in Ukraine, Russia has almost exhausted its current stockpile of Iranian drones, but will look to replenish it. It is likely to be able to buy UAVs abroad faster than to produce new cruise missiles domestically. Russians are building defensive strips on the outskirts of Crimea and in the north of the peninsula. Representative of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, Andriy Chernyak. We see that they're actively preparing for defense. They're creating a defensive strip both on the left bank of the Dnipro River and on the administrative border with Crimea in the north of the peninsula. Also, Squirrel, I think you might want to go on YouTube and read some of the comments, because I think you'll find some of them very interesting. Croatian President Zoran Milanovic, as promised, refused to give prior consent to the participation of Croatian military in the EU mission, which organizes training and education of the Ukrainian military. Hi, Ausboy. The European Parliament has just designated Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism and a state that uses terrorism as a tool today. The initiative contains a long list of terrorist acts committed by Russia. Volodymyr Zelensky, I welcome the decision of the European Parliament to recognize Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism and a state that uses means of terrorism. Russia must be isolated at all levels and brought to justice to put an end to its long-standing policy of terrorism in Ukraine and the world. Sounds of explosions were heard in Kyiv as of 7:04 a.m. Western time, so that's midnight last night. One of the capital's infrastructure facilities was hit, Mayor Klitschko said. Explosions were reported in Kremenchuk, Poltava region. There were also explosions in Lviv, Zaporizhia, Vinnytsia, and Mykolaiv region. Several more explosions in different parts of the capital. Rescue services and medics are on the way, Mayor Klitschko says. In the region, we have hits in the residential sector and critical infrastructure facilities, the head of the Kyiv Regional Military Administration says. One person was unalived preliminarily as a result of hitting a two-story building in Kyiv. Another person was injured, Kyiv City Military Administration reports. Kyiv residents may face the worst winter since the Second World War, Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said in an interview with Bild. It would be if there was a widespread power outage and the temperature was even lower, then part of the city would have to be evacuated, but we don't want it. But we don't want it to go that far. All of Lviv is without electricity, Mayor Andriy Sadovy said. There may be interruptions in water supply. So as of 7 p.m., so noon here, the electricity has been restored in 70% of Lviv households. The subway and electric transport have stopped in Kharkiv. Buses are additionally being brought to the routes, said the spokesman of the city council, Yuri Sidorenko. Terrible consequences of the missile strike hitting a residential building in one of the districts of Kyiv region. Hi, Mike. Unfortunately, this is normal for most Ukrainians. This is the new normal for most Ukrainians, and this new normal is sponsored by a terrorist state of Russia. Operation of Khmelnytsky NPP units suspended due to Russian shelling. 3 people were unalived in a strike on a 2-story building in Kyiv. 6 people were injured preliminarily. Consequences of hitting a high-rise building in Vyzhhorod, Kyiv region. Emergency protection has been triggered at Rivne, South Ukraine, and Khmelnytsky NPPs. All power units were automatically shut down. They're currently not generating electricity, and Energoatom said. Zaporizhia NPP switched to full blackout mode. There were 31 missiles flying at Kyiv, 21 of which were shot down, Mayor Klitschko said during a telethon. We conducted another exchange of prisoners. We returned home 36 of our people, 1 civilian and 35 military. Among the released are the guys who defended Mariupol, were at Azovstal, as well as the National Guardsmen who were captured at Chernobyl NPP in the first days of the invasion. However, none of the exchanged are from the regiment Azov. As I said, Russia keeps them and doesn't want to exchange them. Also, the 1 civilian that has been returned had his leg amputated. Thank you, Melissa. As I said earlier, Azov servicemen are being exchanged much more rarely than anyone else. Since September 22nd, 265 Ukrainian defenders have been brought back to Ukraine. 4 of them were Regiment Azov. 111 were from Azovstal. Former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson claims that France did not believe until the last moment that Putin would go for a full-scale invasion. In Berlin, at a certain stage, they preferred that Ukraine would fall quickly. In Rome, they avoided a tough stance on Russia. He said this in an interview with CNN's partner branch in Portugal. To be fair, I'm not surprised by any of this because we have all seen the clip of Macron where he was like, so complete total war. And Zelensky's like, yes, I've said this a million times, a complete total war, like, please do something. And he's like, so Russia launched a total war. So yeah. And it makes sense that Berlin preferred that Ukraine would fall quickly because, then they wouldn't have to restructure anything and they can keep making money and depending on Russia. Biden instructed the US State Department to allocate $400 million for military support to Ukraine. Rocket attack on Kyiv, 17-year-old girl among 3 unalived. Ammunition and air defense equipment from US stockpiles. 17-year-old girl among 3 unalived. Another 11 people were injured, 10 of them hospitalized. Additional $400 million will include weapons, ammunition, air defense equipment from US stockpiles, US Secretary of State says. 51 out of 70 enemy cruise missiles and 5 kamikaze drones were shot down, the Command of the Air Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine says. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development will provide 372 million euros to Ukrenergo to repair power facilities damaged by Russian missiles. After the European Parliament designated Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, it fired dozens of missiles at civilian infrastructure. Almost all of Ukraine is now without electricity, water, and internet. In total, 34 people were injured. Among them are 5 children. 4 people died. Thank you, Arabella. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko hopes that electricity and water supply in the capital will be restored by the end of the day. I hope that soon we will be in a more objective picture, but power engineers are working. I hope that tonight electricity will be restored and water supply will be restored too. According to him, there are no specific terms yet, but power engineers are already repairing the necessary equipment. Zelensky instructed Ukraine's ambassador to the UN to urgently convene the Security Council due to the Russian missile attack. UN Security Council meeting on today's shelling of Ukraine will start at 23:00 Kyiv time, which is 6 p.m. 6 p.m. No. 6 p.m. our time. 5 p.m. our time. 23:00, no. 5 plus 7 noon. 4:30 p.m. our time. 4 p.m. our time. I'm very bad at math. Eastern Standard Time. The Prosecutor General's office showed the consequences of a missile strike on Vyzhhorod, Kyiv region. 4 people were unalived and more than 20 were injured. Russia's attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure have left Moldova without electricity again. So Foreign European Integration Ministry Nicu Popescu ordered to summon the Russian ambassador to Moldova for explanations. He announced this on his Twitter page. Recalled that today, as a result of Russian missile strikes on Ukraine, massive power outages began in Moldova. The opposition submitted to the Serbian parliament a draft law on sanctions against Russia. We are the only candidate for EU membership that has not imposed restrictive measures against Russia. We expose ourselves to a real danger of being isolated again, Vice Speaker of the Serbian Parliament. The State Emergency Service showed photos of the consequences of Russian missile attack on Kyiv. As a result of the missile attack, fires broke out in a garage cooperative in Dnipropetrovsky district and in 3 garages in Solomyansky district. In addition, an administrative building was destroyed in the Holosiyevsky district, as a result of which 4 more cars in a warehouse were damaged by debris, the statement said. According to rescuers, 3 people died as a result of bad weather. 10 more were injured. Hi, Todd. Oh, sorry. Hi, Todd. Good to see you. Negotiations with a terrorist country are conducted only through the sites of the armed forces of Ukraine, said NSDC Secretary Alexei Danilov. We dictate in syllables, not your missiles, not your drones, neither your shelling of maternity hospitals, nor a millimeter. Not a step will bring your desire for negotiations closer. The only desire is to destroy the fascist monster, Danilov tweeted. The Russian monster. So yeah, that is all I have for today. Let me know if you guys have any questions, suggestions, or discussions, or things that you want to discuss. I'm happy to answer all questions and discuss all things with you. So let me know. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you, Todd. I don't think I've ever seen that one. Thank you so much. Also, привіт, пекельний. Таки так. Good night from Ireland. Good night, Ireland. Good night, Mariana. Thank you, Todd. Oh. Дякую. Dякую. Thank you, Pylon. Who is a Russian? What do you mean, Grumpy? Oh, no. What do you mean, who's a Russian? Oh, Todd, you're leaving already. Can you teach us a new Ukrainian word or phrase on each live? Yes. Yes. See you tomorrow. Побачимось. Побачимось завтра. So, побачимось завтра. See you tomorrow. Побачимось завтра. I don't know how I'm supposed to check if you guys oh no, Grumpy, the Pekelny is Ukrainian. He's talking about Russians, not a Russian. But yes, so побачимось, POBASHYMO, soft S, ZAVTRA. Побачимось завтра. I don't know how I'm supposed to check if you guys, if that was useful or not. But I hope that you guys understood and you guys know and you guys are happy with the. Дякую. Дякую, Валя. We can hear Cindy growling. She's not growling. She's snorting. But okay, it does. Oh, hi, Darlene. It does look like everyone is. It does look like everyone is. It does look like everyone is pretty done with the news. I know it's pre-holiday. I know a lot of us are busy, so I think what I will try and do is I will try and record the news tomorrow so you guys can watch them at all different times whenever you guys are available, because I know that people have like Thanksgiving dinners at a different time and stuff like that. And I know that, there is not a good time for everyone to watch the live at the same time. So I'll try to do a brief and a news abridged video. So I shall see you tomorrow, and I will also do it as a premiere. So at some point I will also be there and I'll be in the comments. So we can do it that way. Okay, bye guys. Have a good night. Happy holidays. And I will and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, enjoy your turkey. Or if you're a vegan or vegetarian, enjoy your mock turkey or morky. Okay. Bye, guys. Good night.